Welcome in. This is a real selection committee. We got a huge panel here. I got a referee just in case we get out of control here for this final game here, the National Championship. I got two representatives of each team. I got Will for Notre Dame. I got Greg from Ohio State. And myself, I'm an Ohio State fan, but I'm just going to do the interviewing. I might chime in a little bit and give you some input myself. But let's go ahead and get started with this. All right, I'm going to say this. Ref, you need to throw a flag. These guys are being too nice to each other. Now, we're going to talk about this game here. They're being too nice. I want some. Come on, fellas. Come on. Wake up. Both your teams are in this playoff right here, the championship game. All right, so now the finals. The Natty, the National Championship right here. We got Ohio State, Notre Dame. Ohio State's favored by 8.5 right now. It's a big point spread here. So I'm really curious here. My first question here between you two. All right. Which team has the better legacy in college football? Will, I'll give you a chance to answer this question for your team.
In recent years, you'd probably say Ohio State. If you're going out of time, I think Notre Dame is has more of a legacy in college football. I mean, Notre Dame Stadium's the cathedral of college football. You've got Newt Rockne, you've got Ara Parseghian, you've got Frank Leahy, you've got Lou Holtz, and now Marcus Freeman. If he can do something on the 20th, you add his name to the conversation. You've got the second most national championships in football. You're tied for the most Heismans. You have the most All-Americans. You're up there for draft picks. I mean, you have 8 rivals because everybody wants to be your rival. I'm not saying Ohio State doesn't have a legacy because I would argue that these both are top 5 teams when you're talking about the blue bloods of college football. But for me, I just think Notre Dame has more of a legacy.
Well, I got to go with the Buckeyes. They're number 2 in wins. And, had Michigan not dominated from 1940 on back to, when the dinosaurs roamed the planet, Ohio State would be number 1. I agree Notre Dame may have more rivals, but that comes with being independent. Buckeyes are in the Big Ten, have been in the Big Ten for a long time. Everyone in the Big Ten wants to beat Ohio State. And Ohio State, in my lifetime, had 3 losing seasons. Only 3 losing seasons, and I'm 56 years old. That's pretty darn good. So I think the Buckeyes have the number 1 brand in college football. A lot of the SEC teams, they haven't had the brand until recently. But, Notre Dame's up there. I'll give Notre Dame credit. They're definitely up there. They're a team everybody hates. You don't hate mediocre, right? No. But right. Ohio State is, to me, the best team, like I say, number 2 in wins. That's just what I feel.
All right. How do you feel about who won this? Who swayed
on round 1, I'm going to agree with Greg here. I'm 25. The Buckeyes have had, 1 losing season since I've been born. Willie, Notre Dame is for sure top 5, but I'm going with the Buckeyes here. First round.
I like Lowell.
So, yeah, both storied
for sure.
Absolutely. College football programs.
That's what makes this so fun.
It is. It's going to be great. All right, so my next question is, at the beginning of the season, did you think your team was going to make the playoffs, and how far did you really think they were going to go?
So you're asking just for Notre Dame or for both?
You can answer. I would answer Notre Dame, and then if you want to add Ohio State.
For Notre Dame, I mean, as soon as you made a 12-team playoffs, I would say 90% of the years Ohio State and Notre Dame are both going to make it. Mm-hmm. So I had no doubt. I think Marcus Freeman put together a heck of a roster. Come week 2, I had my doubts. But then they came out and they did what they did. The statement went over Purdue, which I know Purdue is 2-10, but 66-7 exactly what you needed to do after that loss. But I thought we had a roster that could make a run, and they have. I think there was a lot of doubters after that Week 2 game, but at the beginning of the season, I feel like there was a lot of hype with Notre Dame. Week 1, we had Texas A&M. If we can go to College Station and beat them, we're a legit team. We did it, and so I'm not surprised that Notre Dame's here. As for Ohio State, at the beginning of the season, I thought they were the best team on paper, so I kind of figured they'd be in this championship game. I honestly thought that they wouldn't even have 2 losses along the way. That's how high I was on Ohio State. So both teams, I guess you could say, fell a little bit as far as like what I thought they'd be, but them being both in the championship, I don't think surprises me by any means.
Well, as far as Ohio State, I figured they would make the championship game. Wasn't sure they'd win it. You know, obviously we didn't assume that Ohio State and Oregon would be playing in the second round. Right.
Yeah.
But at the beginning of the year, I had said that I felt the Buckeyes certainly were going to get to the championship game. After that, who knows? Notre Dame, I felt would be a fringe team in the playoffs. I don't know a whole lot about Notre Dame as far as players. When I look at college football, I go by what's happened over the years, scores. I have all the scores wrote down for the last 35 years. And I do my own polls for it, so that's how I kind of do my thing. I thought Notre Dame had shot, but I thought Ohio State was a shoo-in for the championship game. Now, to Will's point, there when we lost to Michigan, I thought, come on, man.
Yeah.
This is awful. Same typical Ohio State, get into the big game and blow it. But that woke them up, much like Notre Dame losing to Northern Illinois. I know there wasn't a person in the country putting Notre Dame in after that Northern Illinois game. But this is the beauty of the expanded playoffs. You still have hope. And look at this. Everybody wants to say that's the worst loss in the playoffs. Here they are in the championship game.
Yeah.
But there's what I thought about it.
Let's go with the ref's decision here.
Man, I hate being a ref already, but I'm going to award Willie a point here because Willie's my brother. He's told me before the year started that he had a great feeling that Notre Dame was going to make the playoffs, make a push, and they're in the Natty, so I have to award Willie a point there.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, at the beginning of the year, everybody pretty much shoot in Ohio State as far as getting really deep in these playoffs. They were the team to beat. You know, they were the team, the standard, I should say, as far as getting there. You know, the whole beginning of the year, all you heard, this is a $20 million roster. This team bought this. They bought this team to make it there. So that's kind of where everybody expected them to be at. The two losses along the way really put a wrinkle in it. But so that leads me to my next question here. Cam Newton out there saying that Notre Dame shouldn't even be in the playoffs because they aren't in a conference and their schedule is not as tough as the SEC. So my question is going to be, which team had the worst loss out of Ohio State and Notre Dame?
So I'm gonna start with this on the Cam Newton front. I gotta say something. Ryan Clark, famous Steeler, never liked him in his professional career. He now has a son on Notre Dame, Jordan Clark, corner number 1. You're gonna see him making plays hopefully on the 20th. But Cam Newton said something after the Penn State win, and Ryan Clark said, "You know, Cam, You're like a husband and wife in a marriage. You can't admit when you're wrong." And I think that's exactly what it is. If Notre Dame hasn't proved to you that they're a good team, then I don't know what else will. I feel like even if they beat Ohio State, Cam Newton's going to have something to say. So that guy needs off TV. Anyways, as far as worst loss, I got to give it to Notre Dame. Because when you compare them, Ohio State lost to their rival. You're going to get your best in a rivalry game. I mean, USC had a down year this year, and Notre Dame still went 49-35. It was a back-and-forth contest till the very end when we had 2 100-yard pick sixes, which I wish there was a video of me running up and down the stairs when those happened. But Notre Dame had the worst loss. You had a MAC school. You're paying them millions of dollars to come play on your field. You have all the expectations in the world, and it was just a letdown. They looked past them. They didn't give them a chance, and that coach had the Huskies prepared. Now they've got a shot as they're heading to the Mountain West, so they get a little upgrade in conference. They can thank us for that probably. But no, Notre Dame, Northern Illinois was definitely the worst of the 2 losses, just because it didn't have the meaning that the game has.
All right.
Well, that's the low-hanging fruit because, when you look at it, Northern Illinois out of the MAC, obviously Notre Dame, big power team. It looks like the worst loss. And we've said, as far as heading into the playoffs, it was, when you talk competitive. But the Ohio State loss to Michigan was bad in the fact that Ohio State was a 3-touchdown favorite. You got this team that's blowing everybody out and mopping people up, and here comes Michigan, which really at times looked like they were a 5-7 team, And you only score 10 points. And this is the end of the season. The only thing you can defend Notre Dame on in their loss, that was week 2.
Yeah.
And, nowadays in college, these teams are new. You got new guys coming in with the transfer portal. You're still getting used to one another. Riley Leonard, you're getting used to a new playbook. So you can see it happening. But Ohio State, this is the end of the game. You win this game, you're in the Big Ten championship. You could get a bye in the first round, and you go out there, and that's what you put out there. You let Michigan score 10 points off 5 yards. All-time worst ever. So, I mean, it depends on how you want to look at it. I could swing the Michigan as worst loss because of what it meant at the time.
That's fair.
And the Northern, by looking at team competition, Northern Illinois versus Notre Dame should have ate them up, but it was week 2.
I think ours was 27.5, so it even wasn't that far off of a spread.
Right.
I think the biggest thing for me though is even though Michigan had a down year, their defense was still always top 25, top 20, and that was the difference in that game. I mean, when you're talking about a defensive game, that's what that was. So it's not like you were coming into the game thinking Michigan couldn't slow you down, but you knew they couldn't outscore you, but they slowed you down. I get what you're saying too.
It's just as big as far as which team should have won.
Yeah.
And I think the more hurtful one was the Michigan loss, especially had we not had that meltdown in the SEC 2 weeks prior.
Yeah.
Because if Bama and Ole Miss hadn't gotten beat, that loss would have put Ohio State out of the playoffs in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's where I'm looking at it.
Yeah. This is a tough one.
Can I give a tie? Can I give both teams half a point?
Let's hear what points did you like in this thing here?
For Willie, I mean, they lost in mag school.
Yeah.
They paid the team to play him.
To lose? They paid him to lose? Or
it was
what?
27-point favorites?
I think 27.5 was the spread. I think so.
Now, Ohio State, I'm an Ohio State fan. That hurt me to my core. I didn't talk to anyone for a week because how embarrassed I was. Man, it's a tough call here because they both were god-awful losses. Can I give both half
Okay, yeah. I will agree. You guys put up such a good argument there. It was, Notre Dame, you should not lose to Northern Illinois. I don't care how good Northern Illinois is in
Can
the
we
back.
start calling them a Mountain West team?
Yes.
It looks a little better.
2026.
It looks a little better.
But let's go with Ohio State. You had a couple goals on your list there, and you did not make that goal. True. And you haven't made it in the last 4 years. 3-touchdown favorite. You should have beat the brakes off of them because this is probably the only year that you're going to be that heavy favorite against Michigan going forward. So, I mean, they're both bad losses, but like I said, the playoffs are great because it allows teams to re-justify that loss and show what they're really worth. So let's go with my next question for you guys. Who has the better quarterback?
I don't think you guys are going to like this answer, but I'm going to say Riley Leonard. I think he has a chance to have more of an impact in this game than Will Howard. Will Howard has a little room for error when you have the playmakers you have at Ohio State. Riley Leonard, that offense runs through him and Jeremiah Love. If his feet aren't working and his arm ain't working, we're done for. But he's proved since that Northern Illinois game that he can run the ball like Josh Allen. He's getting comps to Josh Allen now with his run game, not his pass game. And I think he passes the ball good enough that if he plays his best football, I think he's in the conversation. I think he's a very underrated quarterback.
Okay.
And I'm not taking away from Will Howard. Will Howard's had a hell of a season.
You're being too nice.
I know Riley
Leonard. On the table and let's tell him how.
Riley Leonard is a good quarterback. I've seen him at Duke. He had Duke playing well, and to have that, you got to be good, right?
You got to be good, yeah.
Will Howard was at Kansas State last year. And when you come to Ohio State, a lot of people are thinking, oh, okay, you're coming to the real team now. And Will Howard has had his ups and downs, but the one thing, he doesn't get shaken very easily. He makes mistakes. He just comes back, keeps playing. He's made some big plays when that team has needed him to. Granted, he has the better talented talent players around him, but you still got to be able to find them. That offensive line has had some debacles in it. So I like Will Howard here. Will Howard can run too. They just haven't used him as a runner.
Yeah.
So
since the Oregon game, I think they've.
It's a tough call. It's a tough call, but I'm going to go with Will Howard simply because I do believe Will Howard's a better quarterback. Not a whole lot better because I have respect for Riley Leonard too, but I do believe Will Howard's a better quarterback. I think he can run the ball too. He's a better thrower. I'll go with Will Howard.
I think what I like about both these guys is they're both gritty. They both will do whatever it takes.
Without a question. You're not going to lose by them not giving the effort.
Yeah.
Where we at here? Drew?
Who do I think is the better quarterback?
Well, who won the argument, not who you think the better quarterback is.
I'm going to go with Will because I think if Notre Dame's going to win this game, it's going to be because of Riley Leonard. He needs to play his best game. Will Howard, he has so many options where Ohio State doesn't depend on him to win the game. So I'm awarding Will a point.
Tied.
2-2.
I can agree with that. I can stand behind that because in order for Notre Dame to win this game, he's going to have to be the difference maker. Will Howard, all he has to do is kind of facilitate the ball to these receivers and be mistake free. Riley Leonard has to go above and beyond. So I will agree with that.
He needs to play like Josh Allen.
Yes.
Does that make him a better quarterback because he has to go above and beyond? Was the question
Yes,
which quarterback needed to play better or which quarterback was better?
I
worded it as who was better.
I asked you, are we going by who's the better quarterback or who won the argument?
Throw
You
the
said
flag.
who won the argument.
Throw the flag. He's
Right?
out of control.
You get out of hand, I'm throwing you in a trash can.
Tell him he goes to the
I'll
penalty
give you a new
box.
pack of gum.
Tell him he goes to the penalty box for that. Get on him.
Yeah, you'll feel
Drew,
shame.
you look great today.
Thank you, Bars.
All right, my next question is, who has the better running backs? Running back or running backs?
This is a fun question because all season long I've loved the two-headed monster that these teams have, but Notre Dame is a three-headed monster. Notre Dame has the better running back, they have the better running quarterback, and I love Darian Price in the second running back in the second spot. In my opinion, I think Jeremiah Love's the best running back in the country.
Wow.
You look at a guy who hit 1,000 yards with 138 carries this season. I'm sorry if Ashton Gentile has 138 carries. He might hit 1,000 yards. He had like 330 carries. Jeremiah Love he's kind of hurt by playing in that two running back and quarterback run system where he doesn't get the volume that some of these other running backs get. They just released their Heisman favorites for next year. Jeremiah Love's the top. Jeremiah Smith the second. Good year to be named Jeremiah coming into 2025. I just think Jeremiah Love, between the hurdles, the ball carrier vision, the strength. I don't know if you guys saw the greatest 3-yard touchdown rush in that Penn State game of all time. The fact that he's hurdling players and carrying 7 players in the end zone with a sprained ligament in his knee and wearing a knee brace just goes to show not only the grit but the talent this kid has. When Jeremiah Love was a freshman at Notre Dame, Audric Estime was our starter, and I loved Estime. I was like, man, it sucks we're losing him. 3 games in the season, I was like, I'm not even worried anymore because Jeremiah Love was showing what he could do as a freshman. I am not taking away, though, by any means, what Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins to do. But in my opinion, Jeremiah Love is the best running back in this country.
Obviously, I'm going with Travion Henderson. Out of the backfield, I mean, he can light you up. All he needs is a little crease, and he's gone. You're not going to catch him. You can sneak him out of the backfield, throw the passes to him. He split time pretty much 50-50 with Quinshon Judkins. And here again, I think Ohio State played a tougher schedule. I think they played tougher competition. Not to say Notre Dame's played crappy ones, because Notre Dame, I haven't been down on Notre Dame all year either, so this isn't a shot at Notre Dame. But I do believe the Big Ten is obviously shown itself as the best conference in college football. So I think the Big Ten running backs are running against tougher teams. Ohio State did play 4 undefeated teams, Oregon twice. And we've seen what happened. I mean, obviously Love's a great runner, but I think Ohio State may have had a tougher schedule to play, make those ground games. Plus, you're splitting 50-50 with another. I mean, you got, where would Judkins be on his own team? Mm-hmm. I mean, both these guys, what would Travion Henderson have had they not taken him out of the game where you can get hot? Because as you run, the more you run, the hotter you get.
I'll tell you where Judkins was. He was the SEC leading rusher last year.
Right. And I actually like Judkins better than Henderson for most of the year. But
I have a little rebuttal. Notre Dame's 4-0 against the Big Ten, 7-0 against ranked opponents, and did beat 2 undefeated teams this year in Navy and Army. So if those are your arguments, they did the same exact thing.
Right.
And
Navy and Army.
Jeremiah Love not only split carries with the second-string running back, but split carries with the quarterback.
Well, Navy and
Our
Army,
second-string running back had 750 yards. Our quarterback had 800 rushing yards, and our starting running back had 1,200 yards.
Yeah.
All splitting carries.
I'll take Oregon and Indiana over Navy and Army.
We played Indiana. We played Indiana, and Jeremiah Love took 98 yards straight through Indiana's chest. Mm-hmm. Jeremiah Love is the best running back in this country.
I'll take ours. I'll take ours. I think.
Ooh, we're getting there now.
Jeremiah Love is good, but I think Notre Dame's schedule is not as tough. And I can tell you, if you play in the Federal League in high school or the Eastern Buckeye Conference, you're going to look a lot better in that Eastern Buckeye
Oh,
Conference
I
if you got
agree.
talent.
I agree, but
That's all I say with
52-3 against
Hold
the
on,
competition.
hold on.
Oh,
we're getting
ref
we're
stepping
getting
in.
our hand here. I'm gonna step in here. Jeremiah Love is a beast, no doubt about it. He's a little banged up right now. Travion Henderson, I mean, he's made big plays in these playoff games, so I'm gonna lean towards Greg here with the Buckeyes. Judkins, I mean, both of those guys are projected a second and third round pick.
Jeremiah
this
Love will be
year.
a first-round pick, just wait.
Yeah, next year. I'm talking this year.
Oh,
So-
ref's getting
And
rough.
Love is
this
full
guy.
go for the championship, just so you know. And he hurdled somebody on 85.
I saw he hurdled somebody.
Yeah.
I think Love's great. Now, like I say, and I'm not knocking Notre Dame either, because I've sat across the table from both you guys, and have I not banged the drum for Notre Dame this year? I have.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah,
that's what it is.
We recruited Love. We didn't pay for him.
my thought is they're both outstanding running backfields. This is a tough
it's
decision
insane.
here. They're both good.
Absolutely.
So yeah, who did you go with on this one?
I'm going with Greg here.
Okay, so he got that win on that. My next question is, which defense will dominate in this game?
Both. I don't think
Good
people are
answer.
ready to. I don't think people are ready to see more of a defensive game than you expect. I'm not saying it's going to be 13-10 like Michigan or anything like that.
be.
I expect a very similar game to Penn State Notre Dame, where we're going to see both teams probably in the 20s, but both defenses are going to make plays. I mean, when you're talking about these defenses, I think you're talking about the top two front sevens, and Notre Dame's a little banged up on that front seven. They're missing their top two D tackles, and you talk about the secondary, they're missing a top 10 pick in Benjamin Morrison, but the guys behind Morrison have really stepped up. They run man coverage 95% of the time. You've got Downs and you've got Xavier Watts, which are the two best safeties in college football. I don't care who you put at one and who you put at two. They're the two best. So I don't think people are ready to see, are saying it's going to be, but I think both defenses are going to be dominant in this game. I think both defenses are going to have a big present.
Yeah, they're both defenses are tough. Notre Dame's defense to me has the tougher out. They have to defend more. As you said, Notre Dame's quarterback and running back. I didn't hear anything about their wide receivers, and I know you know your stuff.
Yeah.
So that's not knock. I'm not.
We don't have bad receivers.
Right.
Let me put that. We don't have bad receivers,
Right.
but they're no Jeremiah Smith.
I didn't want to bring that in because
here's
it's clear.
Here's the thing. Notre Dame's obviously getting top athletes without question.
Yeah.
But Notre Dame's defense is going to have to cover it. Jeremiah Smith is going to be hot because he didn't do well. He did have that one play. He should have
One
caught the
catch.
one pass,
Yeah.
and he volleyballed.
One catch, 3 yards.
But Jeremiah Smith's going to be hot. He didn't do anything against Texas. We all know what Ibuka is and Carnell Tate. We all know the two running backs. I think the tight ends on Ohio State can play a factor too. I think Notre Dame's defense has a tougher task. That doesn't mean, and here again, I'm not saying Ohio State's going to run up and down the field on them because Notre Dame's a good team. If they weren't, they wouldn't be where they are. But, boy, I think it's easier for Ohio State to go out and dominate the game because they have to defend really two guys, where Notre Dame has to come in there and defend 5. And I'm not even putting Will Howard in there that they have to defend him because Ohio State isn't using him to run. Just the wide receivers and the running backs, where Ohio State's got to focus on Riley Leonard and Love. However, if that could be Notre Dame's thing there. Use the guys they're not looking at. So we'll see. I think Ohio State's defense has a better chance to dominate, but they're both good.
This is like debating who's a better defense, the 85 Bears or the 2001 Ravens here. Both are elite. I'm going to go with Greg again here because Ohio State just has so many weapons on that team where it's going to be tough for Notre Dame to stop them. Notre Dame, you saw Riley Leonard and Jeremiah Love, you're probably going to win.
Yeah, Penn State getting 0 catches for 0 yards was
Well,
not that
they
amazing.
have JV kids running at receiver.
I'm pretty sure one of their receivers is like rated top 10 in the country, but it's
Like
It's not
I
impressive.
said
It's not Jeremiah
it's
Smith.
it's not
Right.
impressive to get a game-winning pick over their best receiver.
He's not Jeremiah Smith
Yeah.
or Mbuka.
Yeah. So, all right, let's move along here. I'm going to cool this down because it's getting heated here. We're about to go to some hands here in a minute.
Oh.
So I'm going to go with easy question. Who wins? Tell me why. And what do you think
you're
score
skipping
is?
that question?
Yeah.
That was an easy answer for that one. Who wins? Ohio State's the better team. on paper, I think they have more playmakers. They have a heck of a defense. But when it comes down to it, I'm going with who has the better coach. I think Notre Dame wins 24-21.
Well, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I think Ohio State wins 31-21. I think it's going to be a heck of a game. There's going to be some anxious moments for Buckeye fans. There's going to be some moments for Notre Dame fans have the ability to be happy and in the game. And they have a shot at winning. Much like we talked about Penn State versus Oregon. Notre Dame has that same chance. Mm-hmm. But I believe Ohio State's just got too many more weapons, got too many more better players. And I think Ohio State gets it done, but it's going to be a hell of a game. Mm-hmm. And it's the only game that, especially once the playoffs started, that we could ask for. It's the only game that should have been. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who do I think is going to win the game? I think Ohio State is, obviously. I think they have the better team. So I'm going to go with Greg again.
I want a different ref. Let the leopard be Sean.
You're throwing a flag on the ref here?
I don't think Notre Dame's going to win.
I'm 3v1 right now.
They have to play.
Why couldn't we film this in Indiana?
Well, I did have home field advantage.
All right, so they have been picking an offensive player of the game and a defensive player of the game. Just quick, who do you think?
Offensive player of the game, give me Jeremiah Love. I think he's going to have a big run.
Okay.
I'm going to go off the wall. I'm saying Will Howard.
Okay.
Defense player of the game, give me Junior Tui Alamaka. I think he's going to have a big game coming off the edge for Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
Give me Captain Jack.
All right.
And it's intercepted at the goal line. Unbelievable. Wow, Jack Sawyer. The hero, Captain Jack.
Two more questions, kind of. Do you think going into next year, is the committee going to change some of these rules to getting into the playoffs?
I think we might see a conversation for the auto bid, auto buy kind of conversation that's going on. Do the top 4 conference champions get the buy, or do the 5 conference champions just get a bid? And I think the bid route is the way I'd go, because if you're looking at it this way, then you've got Texas and Penn State are getting those buys over Boise State and Arizona State. I mean, Arizona State obviously played a heck of a game against Texas, but I think you've got to go by ranking order and just make sure that those 5 conference teams are put in there.
Yeah, I absolutely think they're going to readdress the seeding and, who gets the automatic bye. I didn't mind it so much because everybody knew going into it that's what it would be. Now, nobody expected the Big 12 or the ACC to be down like they was, to allow a Boise State to jump up that high. And I still liked SMU. The moment was a little too big for them, but that was still a good football team, folks.
For sure.
Anyone that complains about it, as we were talking before we came downstairs, the NFL playoffs have had some duds in it.
Oh, the AFC has been atrocious.
Yeah. It's a good thing there's never been a blowout in the Super Bowl. I can tell you, as a kid in the 70s, they all were blowouts.
Yeah.
Except for the Dallas-Pittsburgh games back in the day.
Can we talk about Denver and Seattle a few years ago?
Yeah,
not a few years ago. I guess that's probably closer to a decade.
49ers whooped on Denver every year they were in there, too. So,
There's been a lot of blowouts. When you get great teams playing one another, it's hard for teams to always come in with their A game. And if the other team has their A game and you come in with your B game, you're going to get it put to you. Yeah. That's just the way it is in sports. And if you did sports, you'd know that. If you did it on any level, you don't have to be a pro or a top college athlete. If you play recreational sports, if you go in against a team and you don't play your best and they beat you. Yeah, it's elementary.
Sure. Yep. I'm going to add in, too, I don't want them to change it. I like it. Like you said, the ACC and the Big 12 are actually, in the next few years, probably going to be better. They're going to have a better representative to earn that high seed. Plus, it gives these teams something to play for, earn and win. You can't reshuffle. If you reshuffled, Ohio State had that late loss, they would have still been down in the order. You wouldn't have put them in the top 3 just based on because you think, this hypothetical bull crap needs to stop. I agree. I think don't change anything. Let's see how it plays out. I love the playoffs. They did a great job.
Well, that point's pretty good because it is a little projectional. But Oregon having to play the winner of Tennessee, Ohio State was pretty crappy for a number 1 seed.
But that's all. Yeah, but so what? I mean, Ohio State lost. They had 2 losses. That's how it shaped out. You ain't going to change it. I think it worked that way.
But that is the only thing about the playoffs anyone could really look at and say this was bad. The rest of it played out the way it did. The thing we all hate is how everybody sits out there. Well, Alabama should have been it. Well, then why'd they lose to Michigan?
Sure.
When Michigan had 7 people not playing.
Sure.
And Alabama goes out there, like I said last week, and their fan base says, well, we didn't want to be there. Why not? You're playing the Big Ten.
Yeah.
The other conference, you could go out there and have. Now the Big Ten's 5-1 against the SEC. So guess what we get to say as Big Ten fans?
Yeah.
You're nothing. USC beat LSU and Texas A&M. Bye-bye. How do you like that?
Independence is 1-0 against.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you knocked out their best representative.
Notre Dame, UConn,
SEC.
UMass, baby. Holding strong.
Georgia by SEC by Big 12, Texas by. But anyway, no, it was fun. I think that wraps it up. Ref, who do you think here? Who won this challenge? I'm going to say there is no winner. I think
There's
they
no
both did
winner.
a great
Everybody
job.
showed up. They got off the bus. They performed well.
They
Good
did a
job.
great job, yes. So.
I got a bonus point for wearing a Jerome Bettis jersey.
Yes.
Yeah, I like it. Hey, it's going to be great.
be a
I'm
fun
looking
one.
forward to it, and it's going to be one hell of a game. I agree. Thanks for checking us out. It's real easy.
One more thing. How about we just watch the games and enjoy them for what they are, right? I
Kids.
mean, sometimes it's a lot easier to watch a team that isn't your favorite in these situations. This is going to be a heck of a game. Just enjoy the games, people.
I want to say one more thing. These are kids playing football, and I'm telling you what, they had their heart pouring out on that game. As an old man like myself, when Sawyer stripped that ball and running down the field, I jumping up and down. We're too old to be doing that, and that's how exciting it is to watch football, college football. These kids love it, and so do the people that watch it. So I think you guys should just chill on your comments and enjoy it.
Yep.
So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Thanks for coming on, guys. We'll see you next time.
Peace.